welcome to stampingcatcrew.com. Today we're going to make this daisy card. It's done in shades of Tranquil Tide, and it's just got little pops of yellow. The yellow is the glimmer enamel dots that we have. I love them. They come in lightest to darkest shades and then 3 different series of colors. So really fun for some accents on your cards. This is the stamp set we're using. It's Daisy Delight. Coordinates with the Daisy Punch, which is right here. Hopefully the camera can pick that up. It's not too shiny, but it fits this daisy perfectly. So stamp set leaves everything that coordinates. There's also some designer series paper. So this is one side. You can see where I've punched out my little daisies from that. This is the other side of that paper that's in the Tranquil Tide. So lots of really pretty patterns, and this is the other side of those. So some really fun things that you can do with that paper. And set that aside. You can see these are the 3 layers that we have right here. And this is our original card. So what we want to do is do a little bit of stamping on the front here. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to bring this in. We can get our stamping done all at one time. So the only color that I really used is the Tranquil Tide. Yay, I said it right. We had a couple sets of leaves. So I'm just going to ink that up gently. And because it is photopolymer, I am using the foam mat underneath. And we want it to have a bit of a curve in. And we have 2 flower heads that are there. The really big one, and then we have the smaller one that has kind of the drooping top to it. And for that one, I really kind of took this off. I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper over here so I can get some ink off. One of the good things about the photopolymer is they bend really, really, really well. And all I did for that top stem was really bend that quite a bit. I inked up, and I knew it was going to kind of droop off. I knew part of this is going to be covered up by the daisy that's coming in from the top. So what I'm going to do is just about there. And so this is actually going to be covered up by the daisy, and this is the stem that's going to come for the little drooping part of the daisy. And so if you think about things being covered up and kind of what you've got going on for later, there are lots of things that you can hide from the other layers that you're adding. This says, "Your thoughtfulness brightened my day." We're just going to put the sentiment in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, you want to go straight down and straight back up with even pressure. Don't want to do too much rocking because you don't want any ink to come from the outside of your stamp there. That's all that's on that layer. So since we've got the ink out, let's go ahead and do the envelope. This is what I chose to do on the front. It was the half of the daisy. And just to keep from making a mess, it's really funny. When I inked this up, I actually only inked up this much of the daisy. So you can see 3 petals are not going to be on there. And then because I wanted it to flow off the paper, I knew I was only putting the petals about halfway up, just like that. In here we have a series of 3 daisies, and I don't do this very often, but every once in a while there are ones that I just want to separate, and I've done this with some red rubber ones that we'll show in a video later. But there were 3 little daisies right in a row, and I only wanted to have one that I can use as a scatter. So I cut the 3 apart. They can be put back together in a straight line, but in the meantime I have one daisy that I can use just for a little bit of fun. So I'm going to ink that up, and we are just going to scatter those little guys kind of around the daisy leaves, and then one kind of out that way. So that's that. And then the last thing we had was some scratch paper that I had, and these are for the very center. if I bring this in again, of the two daisies that are here, which is this guy. So I'm going to ink up two of those. And then you'll see this envelope here, it was stamped off color. It wasn't a full color. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line that up and just have that inset there. So that's all of our stamping. The center of our daisies here, all I did was use a 1/2 inch circle punch. It fits perfectly. Just like that. And then one more. Okay, all of our stamping's done, the hard work's done. So we're going to close up our ink so we don't make a mess. The final part that we have is just the daisies that are here. So I did 3 layers on the large one and then folded one in half and put a dimensional in it. And so I'll show you what I mean. We're going to punch out 1, 2, if I can do this without making a mess here, 3, and the last one, 4. Set that aside. Okay, so we have our 3 layers of daisies that are here. We're going to put a little bit of our snail adhesive in the center of this one. We're offsetting the leaves just a bit. And then we're going to take a dimensional, full size, got it right here for our final one because we've got a little bit of dimension at the top. And we're going to fill in that space right there with that third one. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more adhesive and add our center pop right there. And then this guy is just folded over and it's at a bit of an angle. Let's see here. I really want to have the same effect. There we go. So that's what I did. And then inside here, love these little tiny mini dimensionals. I took one and I hid it inside this fold right here, so that that little fold would pop up, but you wouldn't see the inside there, which is awesome. And the only thing we did, I took some of our Tranquil Tide, and this is the finely woven ribbon. And we're going to go big enough to leave a knot on the other side. Should be just about here. I know that's really scientific, 7 inches probably. So what I do is I cut that, and then I'm going to take the ribbon and I'm going to tie a knot. We don't want to pull it real tight to flatten it out too much, but we're going to put it kind of right in between. And knots and bows, honestly, are just a matter of playing with them to get them to lay the way you want them to. I'm going to put it just about there in between those 2 leaves. So if we add some adhesive to the back of the ribbon, and I have the knot just about on the leaves off to the left hand, or the stems, pardon me, off to the left hand side. So put our layers together and then we can assemble the flowers. Super, super easy. So this is our base. I always tell you, remember to use your bone folders. It gives you that nice crisp edge. I'm going to add some of our snail adhesive. And just like with the fast fuse, if you give it a little bit of a flick when you get to the end of your line, you won't get those little strings of glue everywhere that are kind of a pain and build up on your tape runner. There's that layer. Put this over. And I've said in other videos, I always go back and add a layer of adhesive on top of wherever my ribbon is, because I want that edge to not be open around the edges. I want to have a firm seal all the way around. And I know some people are crazy fast with adhesive, but it's always been one of my points that I'm pretty thorough. We'll just put it that way. So if we have this guy right up here, right on the edge, and then we've got this guy here, add a little adhesive to the back, and he is drooping down from there. And then what I did is just slightly, and if you've watched any of my videos or seen me make cards, I don't like just really flat static images where it makes sense. I like things in layers. I like them to flow. I like them to pop up. I like to have some kind of feeling of motion on the card. And so a lot of times that's as simple as just doing what I'm doing here. It's just separating some layers of the flowers underneath to give it some depth and dimension. Two of my favorite words. So that's it right there. This is the other circle that we punched. I'm actually going to take my paper snips and simply cut it in half. I'm going to add a little bit of our glue, which is one of my favorite kinds of glue. It's the liquid multi-purpose glue. And there. And the final step is those really pretty embellishments that we had, and I chose to do a pop of yellow to bring out the yellow in the paper. So I took the biggest one and the smallest one, because there's really not a way to cut these in half. So I did it just like that. And this is our finished card. So you saw the whole process today, paper cutting and everything. You saw how quick and easy that is. And you can end up with just something fun. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Measurements and everything are always on my blog. So it's stampingcatcrew.com. Thanks and happy creating.